Ooh, I love that I can poop. That I remember how bad that was after surgery. Today's Wisdom Wednesday is
It is body confidence and body acceptance. We're going to talk a little bit about that, as well as, how do we get that? How do we get that as people who have not been through surgeries and chemotherapy and all of the wonderful joys that cancer brings? And then how do we when we're in that? Also, if you're, let us know where you're watching from. Real quick, Maria Palmer, just want to show the comment, just said, I don't know what to do. My boobs look horrible. I could become a freaking nun and I'm just pissed off. I feel you, Maria. I feel you. The body stuff, it's hard. I've got my own issues with it from cancer and all that. I'll start to tell you what I'm trying to do to help with that. But first off, I'd like to say, don't judge yourself. Like, would you judge someone else who's been through a breast cancer diagnosis or any diagnosis? Marie, can you hear me? I see that we're breaking up, but I just want to make sure, and Daniela's lagging. But again,
gonna be quiet.
Try not to judge yourself. Try not to judge yourself. That's how you start. Anyway, Daniela and I wanted to start with a little practice run of an improv game that she likes to play called I Love. And join in the comments.
So I love that my body can feel sensation, like that it can feel heat and cold. I love that.
I love that this past week I was able to hold a yoga pose longer than I have since I've tried to after surgery and chemo. Like it's getting stronger. That's pretty cool.
Ooh, I love that I can poop. That I remember how bad that was after surgery of being constipated. That was horrible. I love that my body is able to do that.
I love that when I look in the mirror and I look at my eyes, I see my grandfather and my father in their eyes.
Yeah.
And the history of my family.
I love that I see the history of my family as well.
That's pretty cool. Let's see. I love that my body is ready for round 2 of chemo tomorrow. All right, Marilee.
Yes.
I love that your body's ready for that.
Yes, I love that too.
I love that I was able to go for my first jog the other day, which was more of a jog, walk. But I haven't been able to run in about 2 years now because of the neuropathy in my feet, and I was able to do that. It was a big deal for me. You know what I love? I was just telling my friend about. I love that your boobs can light up in the dark.
I love that my boobs light up in the dark too.
Mine can't. Mine are clearly inferior to your boobs.
I love that my boobs, it can glow in the dark. What else do we love? Oh, I love that I can stand for like 20 minutes and make myself a snack. Because I remember during chemo, in the middle of standing, I would have to just lay on the floor all the time, which I would just laugh. I'd be like, oh, it's fine, I'm just laying on the floor. But now I'm not like some little drunk, cancer patient. I can actually stay standing. I love that. I love that I can stand now.
That's pretty great. So as you can see, we're trying to focus on the things that we love about our bodies and not about the things that we don't love about our bodies, because that's just, we don't want to go down that road. We don't want to go down that route. But I wanted to talk a little bit. So I wrote a blog post that I have not published yet, but it will be published soon. So you can read that if you missed this.
It'll be published today. When we do the replay, it'll be published later today.
And Yella got to talk about, post New York Fashion Week about, loving her body. And she had some great stuff, like tangible stuff to do. And I was thinking about what it is that, what my issues are with my own recovery process and my body. And even just as someone who's in midlife, or if I'm lucky, I'm in my middle of my life, but my body is not 20 years old anymore. But I was listening to a podcast not that long ago. Something really struck me. It was a woman talking about confidence. And she was saying that in order to become confident, we first need to be courageous. And I thought about that in terms of, I think of a lot of things in the context of having been diagnosed with cancer and how that applies. But in order to get body confidence, we need to be body courageous. And what I mean by that is you need to, in order to become courageous, we need to kind of address what our fears and vulnerabilities are, right? So courage is moving forward through fear in order to grow. And I was thinking a lot about, all right, what is it about my body that when I like shut myself down, because I do that occasionally, I try not to, but let's be honest, I think we all do in some way. What am I afraid of? And some of it is, maybe it's like, do I feel like I'm not worthy in some sense of love if I don't look a certain way, or that I'm not worthy of like good sex if I don't look a certain way? Or am I like, do I think of myself as not beautiful if I don't look a certain way? Because that's not fair. Because I surely don't think about this with anyone else in the world. I don't think that, if people don't look a certain way, they don't have the right, that they're not worthy of love, or they're not worthy of a fantastic marriage, or they're not worthy of feeling beautiful. I don't feel like that at all with other people. So why would I feel that way about myself? And so once I started to try to address like, what's the core fear that I have?
And if you all know what your fear is, write it to us. Write in the comments.
Know if you're comfortable with that.
If you're comfortable with it.
If you're comfortable with that. But so, one example I have, well, I actually have a few examples, but when I first was out of surgery, so I had ovarian cancer, if you don't know, and about 2 years ago, and I went in for surgery and I had 2 enormous tumors. And so the cut they had to make into my stomach, it's almost a foot long scar I had, and I was stapled together. I had lost about 20 pounds or so before going in. I was really thin. And then when I came out of surgery, when I was finally able to actually get myself out of bed, I didn't want to look at myself in the mirror. I was terrified to look at myself in the mirror because I was afraid of what I was going to see. And I made myself, like, I kind of recognized that fear, and I made myself like stop and undress in front of the mirror and take a hard look at myself. And it was hard. I broke down crying. It was really difficult because I didn't look like the version of me that I had known. And I was very thin. I had staples holding my abdomen together. I was sagging on parts of my stomach, and I like turned, and I used to have like, I've gotten back a bit of a bubble butt I basically had, and my butt looked like a flattened pancake. It was just, my body had been through some crazy trauma, and I wasn't being fair to myself. And I took a hard look at myself and was like, whew, okay, so this is what I am right now. But with that, I was able to like address that fear by taking that hard look and then trying not to judge myself and understand that I won't look like this forever. I don't look like I was 20, like now. And I
Forever,
don't look like, or even now, I don't look like I did when I came out of surgery. And I know that my body is constantly changing, but I am still worthy. I still have value outside of what I look like. And with that, it was like, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. How do I move forward through this? And I had to really address that. And it was difficult, but I had to address it. And another time I was going to give an example is when my hair was falling out. I could feel it. My scalp was tingly. My hair was about to like come out in massive clumps. And I used to have I was known for my hair. Like I had like Marsha Brady hair back in the day. And I didn't realize like how tied to my hair I was until I got cancer. I always thought I really wasn't that vain, and I didn't really have an ego, and cancer really checked me on that. But, thanks, Hyrule. That's very sweet of you. But I was going to say, I will take that compliment without shutting it down. Thank you. But I was going to say, I had gone to the salon to get my head shaved because I knew my hair was falling out. And after my hairdresser shaved off my head, I was bald. And I remember like, as soon as that happened, I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh my God, I got to walk out this front door. And I'm going to be a bald woman walking out the front door. And like this wave of all these fears came over me of like, oh my God, what happens if I walk outside and people judge me? Or if I'm gawked? Or what if they notice me? Or what if they don't notice me? What if, like even worse? And like all these, but now when I talk about it, sound ridiculous, but you had to address them. And then I walked out the front door as a bald woman. And then after that, each time I never wore a wig. I don't think Daniela really did either. I never wore headscarves. I just walked out the door bald all the time. And yeah, okay, some people may have judged me, but that's on them. But each time I did that, each time I confronted it and did it, I gained more confidence to be able to do it again. And that's what I mean about, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please finish your sentence.
No, I was just going to say that's what I'm talking about when you need to address your fears and your vulnerabilities and then move forward with them and take action anyway through that. And that's where the confidence is going to come from.
Yes.
You have, yeah.
Well, I'm just sharing another story about that being bald, because that is really difficult as a woman, that first time you walk out. And I remember as well that first time. And I didn't wear a wig either. But if you decide to, it doesn't mean you're not as brave or courageous either.
No, it doesn't mean that at all.
You do it how you want to do it.
Exactly.
And that's cool. For me, I got out of like a speeding ticket because I was bald. So perks.
I will say this real quick. As a bald woman for a while, I got a lot of like, yo, what's ups and like head nods from bald men. Like I was part of their club. It was like this weird kind of cool thing. And there were a few people who didn't understand, I think, that I was going through a cancer diagnosis and thought that like I was just a woman that shaved my head. And I got a few like looks up and down. And all I could think in my head was like, man, you will feel like such an asshole if I were to tell you that I was going through a cancer diagnosis. But
then that is the thing, is it's interesting. We have this judgment of what we think other people are looking at us, like how they're interacting. And I ended up going out bald for a film festival. And while I was standing there was a little girl who was going to the movies. And she comes running up to me, whips off her hat. She was in the middle of chemo as well for a brain tumor. And she had this huge smile. She's like, "You're just like me." She was thrilled to see someone else who was bald like her. And it was funny too, because later in that day, I was walking into like H&M afterwards. I was like, I'm gonna go shopping. And as I'm in the aisle, this teenage girl, who you would think teenage girls can be horrible, this young teenage girl turns the corner, stops dead in her tracks, and screams, "Oh my God, you're gorgeous." And I didn't even know how to respond. I was like, thank you. And I'm like bald with red lipstick on. And it was just interesting how different people view the same situation.
I did have a moment like that with a little girl as well, where I was like, I saw her walking down the street with her parents who was bald. And I remember hanging out the car window and like, hey, and at first I think they were like, who is this crazy woman? And then they saw that I was a bald woman and they were like we're tapping their little girl and like, look, look, look. And they were like waving. And it just was like, you need to see yourself in people and to see that this doesn't make you a monster. You might look different than a lot of people, but you know what? I don't want to look exactly like other people. And so I wanted to say real quick, Mary Leah said, today after the doc, it was pouring rain. So I just pulled off my wig and ran in the rain. Go on with it, man.
Oh, yes.
I love that. That's got to feel good. Like
that is fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And you're not about getting your hair wet. That right there, I love that you didn't have to get your hair wet.
Yep, that's pretty. I love that too. I love that I didn't have to spend a ton of money on hair products when I was bald.
Exactly.
Anyway, I just basically what I want to say is, you are enough, and if you don't believe that, just start telling yourself that until you do believe it. Until keep saying it. Speak it till you make it kind of deal. You're enough. Well, and if you need someone else to tell you that, I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah.
Right.
And this goes along with last week's Wisdom Wednesday, where one of my tips for how I learned how to to start loving my body again was I would look in the mirror every day, look into my eyes and go, I love you. I really love you. And that, as well as just like, you are enough. You are enough. That same kind of technique helps.
It does. It does. So another thing that I've been working on to kind of lay back the foundation of gaining body confidence or body acceptance is instead of focusing on my appearance all the time, and that's hard because we live in a culture that is obsessive about hair and appearance and looking a certain way, and that certain way changes with the wind. One day it's like, everyone's supposed to look like Kate Moss and wavy. And then the next day it's like, no, you're supposed to look like Venus and Serena Williams. And then the next day it's like, you need to have no boobs. Yeah, and all of these women are beautiful in their own ways. People are all, but it's like, what is sold to us? These companies create insecurity so that they can sell us stuff is really what it boils down to it. And once you recognize that, it's like, no, you know what? I'm beautiful as I am too, just as every other woman is and every other man. But I was going to say what I've been trying to focus on is not my appearance, but my health and strength. So when I focus on that, I pick the right foods to eat to nourish myself. I don't I try not to eat my feelings, but sometimes that happens. I do love cookies and chocolate, but I also love vegetables, and I love the way I feel when I'm nourishing my body right. And I'll say this too, when I focus on strength, that makes me feel powerful, and that makes me feel beautiful. I had gained about 40 to 45 pounds because of chemo and the steroids and menopause and all of the shit show that can happen with cancer. And I could sit here and judge my body every day, and some days I do. I'm going to be honest. Like some days I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, this freaking my midsection, or. But at the end of the day, I will show up to the gym and I can probably deadlift more than some dudes can. And that's pretty cool. And it makes me feel good. It makes me feel powerful. Those are the things I just signed up for a 10-mile run in May, and I get to train for that. And that's going to make me feel powerful. So in setting these mini goals to longer term goals to make myself more confident.
Yeah. And with that, I want to tap in on that topic that when I finished cancer, that time after is really hard because I thought instantaneously I was going to snap out of cancer. It's like, all right, my chemo ended. Tomorrow I'm going to be great. Come to find out, no, it takes almost a year. It takes almost a year to get back to somewhat of a semblance of your post self. And you're never going to be that same old person. But I noticed that my view on what I wanted my body to feel versus what I wanted it to look, that's where the difference came of focusing on okay, how do I want to feel? And really listing that. I want to feel strong. I want to feel at ease in my environment. I want to feel comfortable lifting something. I want to feel comfortable walking a block. Tangible goals versus I want a perky butt and I want flat abs and I want, that kind of stuff makes it's, for me, I found it made me feel empty of going, I want to focus on a big Brazilian booty lift. Which keep in mind, I do have that exercise. I have that workout set of Brazilian butt lift. But by focusing on that rather than going, what do I want to be able to do? What do I want to be able to feel? Made all the difference with my self-love and my own satisfaction in what I looked like. It was like, okay, well, it doesn't matter what I look like. And I say this because I am now in a dragon boat team that's all breast cancer. Everybody on that team had breast cancer. And these women are twice my age. There's one woman, a couple weeks ago, I went to a practice. One of the women who was sitting in front of me, who was a beast, never stopped. I mean, I'm crying at one point during this 24-minute drill, actual tears, sobbing. And the woman in front of me never stopped, and she was 79 years old. And did she have the tight butt and the perky abs? No, but that woman was strong.
Yep.
And these women who are on this boat with me, they have been my greatest inspiration because they are twice my age. Most of them have one boob, have no boobs, have gained 50 pounds, 60 pounds from chemo, are older, and yet they are strong. And they don't talk about, oh, my butt's not perky enough, or, oh, I wish my abs were flat. They're like, I am strong. I am powerful. And you can tell they feel that. And that's where their confidence comes in of how strong they are, how powerful they are. And that, I think, is so key what Nora is saying. Focusing on what you can do.
I will say this, too. I was at New York Fashion Week while Aniela and 15 other women who were breast cancer survivors walked for Anna Ono. And it was incredibly powerful to watch each one of these women who I thought every single one of those women that walked that runway, including Dana, who is a breast cancer survivor, all of them were so beautiful and powerful in their own way. And Kelly says, this is why I love going to the gym. And Emily has said she's eating cookies right now. Emily, I'm a little jealous right now because I want cookies too. But yeah, exactly, Kelly. I go to the gym not because I want to get skinny or because I want to look like Kim Kardashian or something like that. I go to the gym because I think it's pretty cool to challenge my body and to make it stronger, and it makes me feel good in that sense. It's not because I'm trying to focus on weight. And one of the things, I'll say this, I don't own a scale, so I don't really know what my weight is. I don't really care to. I kind of know if I'm like gaining or losing weight by how clothes fit typically, or just, look, but I don't care to track my weight. If you do, that's cool. Like if you do it for health reasons or whatever, but I don't care to obsess over that. But I'll say this, I'm almost 2 years out of my diagnosis, and it's been frustrating for me because I feel like I haven't been patient with the process. It took me like 6 months to be able to start walking down a flight of stairs without pain. So trying to get any other movement where I used to be incredibly active, scale smell, trying to like get back where I feel like I'm starting to claw out of this like post-cancer abyss. That's been really difficult. And I'm not the most patient person. So I've had to try to be patient with that. I'm just starting to now feel like I'm coming out of that physically where I'm like, oh, I can move a little more. I can start to stretch the boundaries of what I was able to do. With that, like, that's what I'm trying to focus on. But as I try to gain that momentum, like that snowball effect, I've noticed that some of my clothes are like starting to fit differently. And like with the focus on strength, with the focus on health, kind of like my body's changing again. So cool. I guess that's a side perk, but that's not what my focus is. And I don't want that to be my focus, really.
And also, just as a side note, we had a wonderful, in our Cancer Pride community squad. So if you guys want to join that, it's an amazing private group. But one of our members ended up talking about the fact that she has osteoporosis now. And she's so pissed about this. And within the chat roll, another woman was like, I have osteopenia. And I started doing karate, and how karate ended up increasing her bone density from an 83-year-old to a 60-year-old. And yeah, maybe she's still half that age, but that's a huge thing. And like the love, like I love that our bodies can do that, that by doing a little bit of strength training, resistance training, karate, dragon boat racing can actually help our bodies get moving. So let's get to the next set of this agenda because we're almost at 30 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And basically I just wanted to say, if any of you know who Brené Brown is, if you don't know who she is, go look her up on YouTube. Her TED Talk is amazing. It's one of the most watched TED Talks of all time. But she writes a lot about vulnerability, and I'm in the midst of reading her latest book. And one thing that really stuck with me that she had talked about was, she said, focus on she said that as humans, we tend to define things but by what they are not and not by what they actually are. And so don't define your body by what it isn't. Like my body isn't a 20-year-old. My body doesn't do XYZ anymore. Stop defining yourself like that because that's not. Start defining it by what it can do, what it is, what it does. Because you're going to just get stuck in that abyss. And I'm saying this as much to me as I am to everyone else. It's easy to fall into that mental abyss of what you've lost. And it's okay to grieve those things about your body, but don't get stuck in that grief. Like you have to start looking at what your body can do and how it is beautiful. And I think scars are actually really beautiful. It shows that like you've been through some shit and you've managed to come through. Your body is that strong.
100%. And I think that's a great note to end this whole Wisdom Wednesday on, is focus on, it's just like we started, I love exercise. I love what your body can do. Love what your body can do. Don't even look at what it can't do. What can it do? And love those things. So thank you so much for watching.
Don't let cancer take over your mind. That's what Kelly says. Agreed.
Thank you, Kelly. Yes.
Again, there will be a blog post up soon about this. And go ahead, Daniela, I'm about to.
Oh, and somebody had also asked who was the author. That is Brené Brown.
Brené Brown. BRENE BROWN. Brené Brown.
And so we thank you all so much for watching today's Wisdom Wednesday. We'll have the replay up.
Yes.
Later on this evening, along with the blog post, and so we'll make sure to post that if you all want to read Nora's amazing blog. Also, you'll be able to get that on our cancergrad.org page. Thank you, Christina, who is as well saying thank you, ladies, and men who are watching this today.
Let us know too. Let us know how, if they're I like Hyrel, I'm glad you like the new setup, but let us know how you are gaining confidence and how you're loving your own body, and like shout it out. Shout it out to us.
Shout it out. Yeah, because that actually helps other people think like, oh, because you trigger somebody else going, oh, I actually love that about my body too. So again, if you want to join our Cancer Grad Community Quad, it's a private group. Just go and ask to be invited, and we will put you in. You can also go to our cancergrad.org to sign up for our newsletter and follow our Instagram at cancergrad and YouTube at cancergrad, all that jazz. If you want to get t-shirts, mugs, you can go to the Cancergrad school store, which is on our website. So I think that is everything.
Hey, thank you everyone for the thanks. We're super grateful for all you. And let us know if you want to be featured, or if you want us to talk about something specific that's bothering you or that you have on your mind. Let us know. For sure.
Exactly. Right, and you like the setups, we could possibly do interviews as well. So if you all like that.
Great. All right. Anyway, take care, everyone.
Mwah. Mwah. Bye.